Hey folks. Hey, we're going to continue working on some Eberron maps today. Give me a second here to check my signal, get through my intro spiel, and then they'll get to work here for a couple hours. So if you're watching this in the past, you might want to fast forward like 2 minutes for me to get through all my intro stuff, so you can dive into the artwork that we're doing. And it sounds like signals coming through a-okay. So excellent. Let's do something with that there. And okay, intro spiel. Hold on. There we go. Okay, cool. Beep, 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 beep. I'm pressing buttons here. They're pressing buttons here. All right, cool. Sorry for the hold up. Hey, okay, great. So my name's Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here for the past 5 years. There are a slew of links in the description down below to other works that I've published already. They're on the DMsGuild.com. They all have free previews. So if you're on a desktop, you can click on the full preview button underneath the cover picture. If you are on a mobile device, there's going to be an eye icon on the right-hand side of the screen. You can click that. Either way, it's going to throw open a PDF document. You can check out all the stuff that I make. I've been DMing for 38 years. I run through a campaign from level 1 to 20 in about 200 to 250 hours typically. We're at 20th level on my 3rd campaign in 5th edition. So everything's coming along swimmingly there. So when you check that stuff out, if you're here for the art, there's probably about 150 different illustrations in those books for you to kick through and check out. If you're here for D&D stuff, when I build things, I build them for my own campaigns, either that I'm currently running and I needed tools that ended up being pretty cool, so I published them, or tools that I think are pretty cool that I build and then run a campaign with, like the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that I'm illustrating in the morning. I'm currently in the process of building a new Spelljammer campaign for my team that's at 20th level right now. The campaign is going to end here shortly, and they'll be needing something new, and they wanted Spelljammer since I've been working on this thing for the past year. Awesome. So right now I'm also, today though, we are doing a cartography for an Eberron adventure that we're going to publish. So you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney here if you want to see updates, and occasionally I post artwork and stuff that you can check out. Best way to help support the stream is to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. My first major goal is to get to 500 subscribers. When I get there, I'll share the tools of the brush tools that I use to make the artwork that I make. So I'll put that on my Patreon at no cost for people to grab. So this book cover I create around episode 40 of this playlist, and we're currently on episode 172. When the Spelljammer book gets finished in the morning, we're going to start doing Eberron every morning as well. Creature tokens, interior art for the book, and breaking up the maps that we've been making into chunks so we can place them on the pages with all the text. So that's coming around here pretty soon. Probably by the beginning of the year, we'll be switching gears and dropping Eberron into our Monday through Friday project, and then the Martial Powers project becomes our Monday, Thursday night project, and then on Saturdays, of course, we have commissions and personal projects if I don't have a commission at the moment. But right now I do. So Saturday mornings you can watch me making a book cover for a 3rd tier Underdark adventure created by Andy Heatley, the Old Goat, with assistance from Brian Holmes. Both guys I love to death. Andy helped me build this adventure. So we're making maps right now. Let's see. Currently, here's the editing document that Stuart Braz, our editor, Andy and I go through to keep updates. And for the most part, the only little revisions that we have left in this whole village area is modifications that we're making to the description text here based on what visuals we're seeing on the map. Like, and I want to be particular about how that's done. So I'm checking out like these blood spatter steps are going, like I want to move this puddle to the inside, but currently there's no mention of bloody tracks leading to the commons area when you're reading the description of the commons area. So we need to, it does over here, but the front door and the back door, no. So we need to update the description to coincide with what information we have on the map. So when the team is like, hey, what's that? Like, that's a bloody pile. Check it out. Blah, blah, blah. So that's what we are currently in the process of doing. This is the gore section. Yeah. That's storage currently, which means I want to clip that. Drop it inside. Where else we got stuff coming from? The lumber mill? Yeah. So this is what we're doing today. We're doing... Here's how this process works. So we have the edited document that we got back from Stuart, right? So we're going through the text and we're reading the description of the text to inform where we need to be putting like tracks of blood or what other incidences may come along. So that's the process that we are currently going through. Puddle that up a bit like that, and then have a little bit of blood kind of going underneath the doors. Like we talked about last week, most of these buildings don't have seals at the bottom. They're just posts in the ground, and then you just build a full slat. Basically build a wall like a fence. A fence is a wall with gaps in it, right? It's a fence minimizes the effort needed to build a wall and still be able to see through it because you're mostly working with critters, right? They don't need privacy. You just need to be able to have eyes on them. That's how ranching works. But a real low-tech building is basically a fence without any slats separated between along the posts. So it's just a full slatted fence. A lot of buildings can be built that way cheaply. It's a quick construction method. And so that's about the technology level that I would expect to see in these, which means that none of these have the nicer parts like the apartment here in the sheriff and the back of the mayor's apartment flat behind the commons area. Those are actually built up on posts with a level floor that can build a sealed environment that is resistant to the weather. You see that in the farmhouse that we built, but not in the barn. So we have those, again, that different in construction to have a sealed home that can resist the elements properly with sealed walls and floors and creases versus a more open draft, which of course is cold for the critters, poor critters, but but they're built for it, so they get by. Let's see. So I'm going to merge this down. And we're going to call this commons. Commons will be different from the mayor's apartment. But I need to go back to storage and add some more. Let's just destroy it a little bit. Destroy all evidence. Retransform, flip horizontal, rotate. That feels about in sync. Yeah, it feels about where I want it to be. There we go. We're recording. Looks like everything's going okay. I've got a timer set here for 20 minutes to make sure I stay on task. Let me just check my phone here real quick. Make sure everything's straight up. Let's see. Yeah, we'll let the path lead to the door. That's cool. I'm cool with that. And hair's bugging me again. Give me a second here. I could swear I had some music going. There we go. No wonder I couldn't hear it. I am super looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to be we're going to be working again on the martial power system and further developing that. I've got updates for the barbarian, for the monk, the paladin, the ranger, and if we have time, we will continue developing more of the monk subclasses. But I'm really excited about sharing what we've come up with and how we're making the system evolve. It's super cool. I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. Let's see. So commons, before the attack, beep, 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 beep. After the attack, when the villagers were attacked, the initial survivors ran to the commons building to gain protection, but they got in through the back office and no one survived. The undead remain inside with a growing colony of Vulpina Lotharia. Main entrance, box text, after the attack. The large bay doors at the front of the barn-shaped structure are shut and locked from the inside that we have here. Pulling the doors open requires a successful strength athletics check. Break the chains. There's wraths of fresh dead as they lurch their way towards the sounds of the door. Let's see. Commons interior. Main entrance, interior. So this is the main entrance, and then this is the interior. Let's see. The commons interior is dark with a thick putrid odor hanging in the space like fog. The windows are all boarded on the inside. An unnatural green glow dots the floor, providing enough dim light to see bloated human-like shapes lurching around the edges of the haze amid piles of benches and hay bales that appear to have been quickly piled up against the windows as ineffective barricades. Plague mist effects. When the characters enter the area, the stinking cloud from the Lotharia Vulpina requires them to succeed on a DC 14 Constitution saving throw against poison or lose their action. Undead Horde. After resolving the effects of the plague mist, the undead within the commons area take notice of the character's presence. Undead lurch from the shadows, their hollow, raspy wails full of unnatural, malicious intent. There are 25 undead in the commons. 8 long dead stand with the commons interior. Within the commons interior, they move forward and attack anyone in their line of sight. And there are 17 fresh dead. Long dead are skeletonized, that are coated in crystals that are particularly resilient, and I believe the crystals cause a poison effect if they rake their claws on you. I have to double check that, but it's in the appendix. And then fresh dead are people that still have their flesh on them that were just recently killed, but are steeped in the poison of the Vulpina Lotharia moss that grows inside of this space that we'll have a fun time illustrating here in a few minutes. So their body bloats up, and then the spores of the Lotharia seep inside of their body and basically just turns them into giant bags of poisonous, stinky cloud gas. So when they take damage or they hit you, they explode, and it makes you throw up. So it eats up your action economy. Just lobbing a fireball into this place would probably make quick work of a lot of them, but if you don't have that, then you're going to have to set up a shield wall at the door to keep them from coming out in mass. It can become a problem, especially if you have stuff that's still roaming around like ghouls getting out of the storage bin. You could be facing 2 or 3 different flanks at the same time if you just open up all the doors and let everything come at you. So keep that shit in mind. The undead will attack until destroyed or until no new targets can be detected, at which point they will spend 10 minutes searching for prey before returning to their passive state. Fallen allies. If Hook 5 is used, connecting 1 or more characters to NPCs in the community, then the bodies Hook 6. Hook 6 is when you have family members that got recruited. I think it's Hook 6. Hold on, let me double check that. It might be hook 5. Let me double check which order we have the hooks now. Infestation. Oh, that's right. The deputized. Oh, that's right. We made the deputized the default path, and then we have 5 alternate plot hooks that we decided to add into an appendix. The appendix is alternate plot hooks. So we keep the story focused with the assumption that you have a sheriff's badge, but if you don't, in the appendix, we provide you with how to approach the encounter, the adventure differently with different resources. And so that's why it's plot hook 5. Talking about plot hook 5 is when you are invited there by family members or friends to claim one of the open homesteads, or to lay claim to a plot of land to start farming if the team wants to get away, or do furriers or lumberjacking, to have an honest job instead of being an adventuring scallywag. So if hook 5 is used, connecting one or more characters to NPCs in the community, then the bodies of the known NPCs are among the fresh dead that attack the characters. If one of those characters has a passive perception of 16 or greater, they will notice the known NPC among the dead. Otherwise, a successful 12 intelligence or wisdom investigation or perception check while searching the bodies of the fallen fresh dead will identify them. If the adventurers investigate the room, read the following. So, what we need to do, we need to bloody up the place, we need to add in some Vulpina Lotharia, and we need to move the pews in front of the windows, and I need to grab some hay bales from over here. These are hay bales here. I need to grab some of those and drop them in here as well as bunker stuff. So we'll build some forts, and then we'll build a bunch of dead people and poisonous moss inside those forts. It'll be fun. So let's keep reading. This room has been sealed off in darkness for days. The coagulated blood coating the floor and spotting the walls is covered in black crusted crystals. So a lot of Vulpina on the floor, the green moss, that's iridescent glowing moss, and a floor coated in black crystals, like we did in the cemetery. Back like around episode 60? No, 80? Maybe around episode 80. Maybe that's when I was doing the cemetery. Small florets grow. Let's see. This room has been sealed off in days. The coagulated blood coating the floor and spotting the walls is covered in black crusted crystals. Small florets grow among the bloody petals and the crystallized wounds of the fallen. An unnatural haze hangs heavy in the room, and viridescent fungus grows in small patches around the room. Around the commons area. The unnatural light produced by these odd plants is diffused by the foul mists. Plague moss and black florets gather on wet surfaces, such as pools of water or blood. Lotharia Vulpina sheds iridescent light, creating a low gloom while slowly releasing plague mist into the environment. Crystals clutter the area in between the patches of strange fungus. These plants are detailed further in Appendix 2, Flora and Fauna of Mabar. If the windows or bay doors are opened, light will cause the plants to wilt and the plague mist to disperse in the lit areas over the course of an hour. If the bay doors and windows are left open, the foreign plants will all die within 3 days. And then we have the inner office. So, okay, so the task at hand right now is A, build some fortresses, and then B, bloody the hell out of the place, and then C, dump in the crystals, and then D, Vulpina Lotharia. That's probably going to take the session. So, let's get cracking. Let's see. I'm going to drop down here to interiors. And then let's look at black, white stuff here. What I want to do is I'm going to extract all this stuff out of the interiors and put it in the folder for where the gore section is. So right now I need to peel apart where all the black and white layers are. Storage, grist, smithy, stables, commons. Black and white. Really? That easy? Ho ho ho. Duplicate that layer. Let's get it out of this space before trouble happens. That was the black and white structures, so we can close up black and white. And then we can open up colors. And then again, we can go into the commons. And then we're looking at trough doors, walls, oven, fabrics, floor. Where are you at, buddy? I have to peel through these layers until I find the one that has the... That's the oven, doors. Oh, wood furniture. Maybe. Yep, there we go. Wooden furniture. Blip. Cool. I can just grab these up. I can copy to duplicate. Benches. And then the other thing I need to do is go down into the stable. And grab. Hey. Very nice. Duplicate the hay. Bum, 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 bum. Bring that up. Bum, 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 bum. Get that out of here. Gore. Footprints. Hay bales. Benches. Now I need the black and white. This isn't very glamorous, huh? Sometimes this is the job. That's why I wasn't excited about streaming this. But it is what it is. We're putting in some hours. I'm looking forward to getting the tokens. I want to get back to creating creature tokens. We want to go to stables. Yeah, there's some black and white in there. And which one are you? There you are. Gotcha. Duplicate these layers. I'm gonna grab them and let's do it this way. Oof, that's much smarter. Cool. Now we can grab, call this hay. Hey. There. Hay, bales, and benches. Whoops. So what we're gonna do? What we're gonna do about our hay bales, or our furniture? Okay, yeah, I should have deleted those. Is what I should have. So let's try that again. Structure, subfudge. Stables, commons. Yeah, I didn't think that through, guys. Sorry about that. Let's see. Oh, wait, shit. Now I'm trying to do this, and I haven't hidden the current. Oh, my God. I'm so off base right now. We want to hide the hay, and we want to hide the benches. Well, the hay's fine. So the only thing we have to worry about is concealing the commons area. Cool. That's not nearly as bad. But I do need to make sure, yeah, that the benches are hidden. So when I find the benches, they'll disappear again. So I know where to find them. Are they in here? Are they here? Here they are. Cool. So I can do that. And now we can close up the black-white. Now we can get into the color. Wood furniture. Like that. Now we can stitch this shut. That was quick enough. Good. Why didn't that? Fuck all. Thank you. God damn it. There. Okay, now we have to go through the arduous task of breaking each bench up into their individual colors so that we can have the pattern for both black and white and color. So let the peeling begin. Hay bale. Interesting. We'll have to peel that apart here in a few minutes too. Benches. Colors. There we go. We can do this 1,000 times, right? Let's just keep on keeping on with what we got it. This process is pretty easy. Here. Oh, that's fun. We can just do this. Beep, beep, boo, doo, boo. Yeah. Beep, beep, boo, doo, boo. Wait. There. That's how it's supposed to work out. Great. So go to here, cut, paste, drop down to here. Very efficient. Cut, paste, and then down here. Cut, paste. There. I feel you lurking around in the darkness. Hello. I hope you are having a wonderful evening. I certainly am. Oops. Grab the wrong dude to give. Why is for what it is? Okay. Sometimes I'm a little slow. There we go. Hey, last go. Beep, 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 beep. I missed this motion. This was a fun sequence. Nice. All right, so. Oh yeah, and I have to peel apart the hay bales too. So give me a second here. Okay. Let's put this guy on top. That's what I should do. Let's do that. Merge. Bitch. Unnecessary. Boom. There. A hay bale. I can. Yeah, I can just replicate that a bunch. Duplicate. Door opens. Oh, door opens inward. So I'll need to open that door. Probably no time like the present, right? Let's take care of one thing at a time. We can take care of the open door when it's time to take care of the open door. Right now, what we really need to do is pile up pews and hay bales. So that hay bale looks good there. That hay bale looks good there. We got word that there's hay bales at all of the windows. So let's do that. Duplicate. 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 Ooh, that flipped. I flipped it. So those are our hay bales. Let's grab our benches. Grab a benches. Hey Zona, how you doing? What is the good word? This is the this is the Thorpe that that is attacked by undead at the beginning of this Eberron adventure. There's two versions of it. There's a you show up and everyone's alive, and then there's the other version, which is you show up and everyone is dead. One plot line is you're hired by a sheriff, you're deputized to go investigate complaints in the area, and when you do, everyone starts complaining to you about weirdness in the forest. But another plot hook that we have, an alternate plot hook down, there's 5 alternate plot hooks in the appendix, and one of them is that you are invited to come live in this village. You have family or old friends that have decided to retire from the last war and settle down in new unclaimed territory, so they become part of this new, basically like refugee or displaced Thorpe of people that can just start farming along the northern heartland of Karnath. And so there's undead in the forest. And so if you're using the come and get a plot of land, we'd love to have you here. Or, if you need to lay low for a while, this is a great place for you to get off the grid for a while and take it easy. And when you show up, they're dead. Undead killed them. And then there's blood spattered footprints that are leading off into the forest. So your quest of vengeance begins there. Some of them, like some of your friend or family, can be dead. Others could be have been taken captive and are being held for sacrifice in the fortress, in the forest. But of course you don't know that because you're just walking in because you just wanted to lay low for a while. And oop, undead, no rest for the wicked, eh, boss? So then you have to get after it. But so when the village is attacked by undead, whoever was around in the town ran into this commons area and began fortifying the place until the undead, they got in back here. So I'm going to have to put, we're in the process of putting all of these benches into strategic positions where they can be used to defend the place. And they need to be on top of the gore. Thank you for participating. Let's get to the front of the stack. Commons areas at the very top, of course. Blip, there we go. So we're gonna bloody this place up a touch, and if you get this in, and if you wanted to print this out, of course, there's the black and white version where we take away all the color, and it's just gonna be line art. And we'll have to polarize the blood splattery so it's just black, but it'll still be okay. Oh wait, I need to put that color back in. There we go. So these are all objects that'll be in a folder. We'll have a zip file with all the maps, as well as all of these like these are all individual items that we created: chairs, tables, spoons, butter dishes, I guess, whatever that word is, plates, cups, cutting block. Butcher's knife, I don't know, seaweed, a stove. These are all separate assets that we built out, so we can just add these to a super plenty pack and put these on Roll20 for people just as assets. But they'll be included with this adventure, along with the village map, black and white versions for easy printing, as well as the color versions that we have here, which are already assigned and aligned to working inside of Roll20. So we can up this to be on Roll20 with all the maps prepared already, including having all the individual assets placed so that you can pick up and you can scoot them around as objects if your characters really want to do that. That's like excessive, but it's something I think would be fun to do. So we are currently stacking up furniture here. Let's do that. What about this next one? What are we going to do with you? Yeah, let's do that. all strategic about my bench placement. Duplicate that. Duplicate that. Put it underneath. Nice. And then let's see. Duplicate. That we're on the wrong side now. Here. Here. This one, good. This is kind of like what we're doing right now. So I mean, it's not the most glamorous work ever, but it's the job. It's the job that we have to do right now. So we're getting it done. Normally, like technical administrative tasks like this, I normally don't bother stream with. But one of the reasons why I started streaming in the first place is how difficult it can be for me just to this helps me fight procrastination, because when it's a task like this I don't want to do, if I commit myself to doing it on stream, suddenly it becomes something that I'm going to get done. So I gotta show up. Hey, what's up? I wonder if the zombies will attack if the town is alive initially, then the party could. Yes, that is one of the options that you have, that while you're in town, if you don't immediately go into the forest to investigate trouble that leads you to a long rest deep in the woods where you can be attacked by undead in there. If you decide to lollygag here in town and spend your sweet time asking people stuff, then yes, a horde of zombies can show up and you can fight them. And we have rooftops for all these places. Like you can take up a rooftop position on top of the silo here to get a really good angle to see what's coming from the forest. Or if the team goes into the forest and runs into undead and then retreats back to the village for a long rest where they can heal and recover, definitely going to be attacked by undead. If the town decides to go squat in one of the abandoned homesteads out in the cornfields that we were doing a couple weeks ago, that's another opportunity for the team to get attacked by a horde of undead that just comes traipsing through. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity if the team uses this as a because you have the opportunity to get out of where the dungeons are at. There's 3 different dungeons inside the manifest zone. That's like 20 miles into the woods, right? So you can camp out in the woods. It's a full day march to get to the manifest zone from this village. So by the time you get there, you're tired. If you decide to rest someplace, there's a high likelihood that undead or sentry patrols are going to find you, and you're going to have to get your way through that conversation. But if you can hide out and get yourself, or like if you have horses with you that you can keep on task, you can get to the manifest zone and you can get back in one day with having a couple hours of activity in between to hit the place. Like if you hit the cemetery and you tear that place up a little bit, you get worn down more than you wanted to, you can retreat back, grab your horses, ride back to town, take a long rest. And while you're doing that, another opportunity for you to hit them with undead or any of the other, there's a random encounter table of like the different type of monsters that are coming out of the manifest zone into the woods to start looking for prey that the team can run across, as well as patrols. Even the mercenaries that are hired to keep things contained can run out of food and have to start scavenging off of the village, basically taxing them or outright just stealing from them, basically. I mean, it's not like they're government sanctioned. They're just mercenaries that got hired on by retired necromancers, basically. So they're kind of not official. They're pretty aware of that fact, though they hope they can bully these outlying areas, because a lot of these people don't want to be on the radar. They don't want to stir up trouble. They don't want anyone talking about who they are or where they're from or why they're here now or why do they scream at the wall when they get angry. Stuff that happens. It's a lot of these people want to maintain like a really low profile. So these mercenaries can basically bully these people. Or a lot of them anyway, but the sheriff The sheriff is legit, or not the sheriff. There's a constable that oversees the town. The sheriff is an outrider that oversees basically the entire Midland Karnath Plains, everything to the right of Ader. Basically, like along the moorholds, there's just massive grasslands there that have been, for the most part, neglected or destroyed during the course of the last war. That are ripe for tending now, but also are having issues with marauding halflings on dinosaur back, because the area has been so neglected for basically generations at this point during the last war, that the halflings are getting kind of cozy in this area now that now that the war has ended. There's a lot of adventure potential in this area for people to reclaim territory from the halflings that have been unchecked. And they're high mobile, hostile creatures. So that's a higher CR than just some random villagers saying, hey, we got some people missing. It's like, well, they shouldn't be here in the first place. So them missing is, okay, fine, we'll send someone out. And then you get deputized, and then you're the one that they send out, because the sheriff is off fighting halflings in the Talenta Plains. So if your characters do a good enough job here, you can take control of this region and make it your own, like basically your own county. And you can become sheriffs for this county, and you can start generating domain type activities like the Bastion system, the adorable little Bastion system that Wizards has offered us in the UA playtesting is a great example of how you may claim ownership of these dungeons and fortresses that you can find in the Manifest Zone once you resolve the adventure. And check this. Yeah, that piles up pretty good. That's a decent little pile we got going. I, of course, recommend using my Guilds and Kingdoms system, but it's not published yet, so how could you? You could join the playtest. Hey. That document's available for people to look at on my Patreon without having to be a member of my Patreon channel. It's labeled In Command Playtest Content. It's free for you to look at. It's got all my mass combat rules, and it has, hold on, I'm checking things. It has my mass combat rules, and it has my kingdom and guild system as well. And I will be, that's when the Spelljammer book is done. Okay, so here's my sequence of events for the next 2 years. Jesus, I'm already planning 2 years in advance. Jeebos. Hold on. I need to. Benches. I need to get a hay bale under a bench. Hay bale under a bench. Beep, 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 boop. How am I going to do that? Yeah, that, bop, 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 bop. I just got to get rid of that hay bale. That's all. I just got to rearrange it. Let me find it. This is the worst thing about these hay bales is trying to figure out where in the stack it is. So we're just going to be clicking on hay bales like all fucking day. So get ready for it, folks. There. I'm going to tilt this like that so it fits in that space better. Boy. So we're going to finish the Martial Power. We're going to finish the Spelljammer book. And once that's off our plate, then Eberron moves to our morning slot, and we work on it 5 days a week. That means that the Martial Powers book advances to our Monday, Thursday night slot. Like now, like what we're doing right now will eventually be me doing Martial Powers development, and then so we're almost done with fleshing out all the player options in the Martial Powers playtest content that's also on my Patreon at no cost. And once we get to that point, we will on Mondays and Thursday nights we will start developing the playtest campaign that we're going to do from level 3 to 7 to test the low end of how the Martial Power system feels. Hold on real quick. And then once that content is done, either Monday, Thursday night, or possibly Saturday morning, That's when I'll run the Martial Powers playtest for people that are interested. Let's put that there. And hold on, I'm arranging furniture, so give me a second. I like this one. Look at that fit. That's so fucking awesome. Let's get up here to the front of the line. Put that on top of my hay bales. Nah, that's not quite working out how I want it to. Let's just put this on a tilt. Nah, there's a bunch of shenanigans. We didn't need it. Okay, yeah. So Martial Powers playtesting content Monday, Thursday, Saturdays. That'll become Martial Powers stuff. And then while that is happening and then we have the Eberron going on. Once Eberron and the Martial Power system are done, we'll be rebuilding the Color Mana Spell Point variant rule bundle that I have down there, because it'll probably be August-ish around when D&D 2024 gets released. So I expect that as soon as that releases and we have access to the content, that I will be updating the color mana system so that it works with whatever changes they end up making. So that's highly important to me. Once that's done, that'll mean that the Martial Powers book is done and all the color mana bundle stuff is done. So we'll have a full system for all 13 classes to use the same color mana mechanics. So we can step away from that and start, just on a lark, like let's build a book of Dimir rogues and offer some special powers and options for a Dimir style rogue here, or like a group of Dimir characters or something. And I can release that content like on my Patreon if I wanted to, or I could publish it on DMsGuild. Either way, I'll have a full vocabulary of how color mana works for the entirety of D&D that we can now use to express any new D&D stuff that comes along in the future. We can finally start doing the Mage Tower athletic scholarships that we want to for Strixhaven for martial characters with color mana pools, like a Silver Quill, Silver Quill Barbarian, right? How would that work? Well, they'll have access to all the Silver Quill spells. They'll be a part of the Silver Quill College. They can take feats to gain a Silver Quill Advanced Familiar. Even though they're a Barbarian, they have a mana pool that, as a subclass, taking the Strixhaven College, they have a scholarship to be a Mage Tower athlete. So that Barbarian is now using his primal skills to basically win football games for his college, and so he picks up all the perks from that college along the way, and so that's a fun little document that we can build. It's just a neat little nothing thing, so we can just build that out and make Strixhaven sports scholarships, because we'll have a means for martial characters to gain access to the Strixhaven College background. Right? That's the point that I was trying to make there. But that's something fun that we can do now that we'll have the ability to express that mechanically inside of the game, right? Am I being overly redundant at this point? It's exciting, to me anyway, I guess. So maybe somebody else too. But once that project's off the plate, the next major project that we get to work on is the In Command of Guilds, Kingdoms, and Armies, or Armies, Guilds, and Kingdoms. Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Yeah, Armies, Guilds, and Kingdoms. A-G-K. So, I-C-A-G-K. IGAC. ICAG. I don't know the signals yet, but it's armies, guilds, and kingdoms. So in command of armies, guilds, and kingdoms. That's what the supplement will be, and will probably be my first Kickstarter. So the Spelljammer mechanics that we use sprang from the Army, Guilds, and Kingdoms mechanics that we had developed for Infernal War Machines and Descent into Avernus. And when Spelljammer published, we realized very quickly, it's like these mechanics work perfectly for vessels too. And now we have ships that are maneuverable and fast enough to be able to pull off the types of turns and chases and maneuvering that we wanted to express. With the Infernal War Machines, we can now do with spaceships too. So that was an exciting day. But all that stuff sprang from the in-command mechanics that we had built, which are intended for skirmish and warfare using like 5e mechanics, like strictly 5e mechanics. It works great. It's the same scaling system, except that instead of scaling up one structure, like one ship or one creature, you're scaling up squads or mobs or armies of creatures that occupy the same space. Like you can have like a spelljamming vessel that can occupy a 500-foot space and just be a massive ship. Or you could have an army of medium-sized creatures, each with their own little 5-foot space, occupying a 100 by 100 square grid as a 1,000-man army that your commander can lead at the 500-foot scale. The mechanics are a little different because each individual can be killed separately as opposed to one giant vessel that has to be torn apart plank by plank. But the overall effect is sort of the same. The mechanics are basically the same, with some exceptions that are needed to take into account individuals and morale and breaking up units and maneuvering and time over distance, because you can't, like, players can't walk 10,000 miles per round. They have to physically walk there, and that'd be over a lifetime for them to get there. So we have to have mechanics about marching and like when you sequence in attacks over the course of multiple days to arrive at a location. So all that stuff is still perfectly viable using the Spelljammer mechanics, but now we're reverse engineering it. Because we had the army mechanics that then evolved into the vehicle mechanics, which evolved into Spelljammer mechanics, and then got further iterated and developed to the point where it's now a publishable concept. But we have so much more depth of information about that scaling system through Spelljammer now that we can reverse engineer all those mechanics back into Infernal War Machines like Mad Max trucks and armies, and then we can export it as an independent, like Creative Commons or something like that, for any 5e game to make use of. But it would also work with like Pathfinder, and it would work with Lancer, as well as like Shadow Dark or Beckme in general. It's a good Beckme replacement system. It works with anything that basically you're throwing a d20 with. So anyway, hey, actually running a campaign. Hey, no kidding. Looking forward to applying the 5-color mana system. Thank you. I never played it in Eberron, though. How different is it from Greyhawk? It's incredibly different. It has a sort of the default. Okay, so the default vibe that they have in the campaign source material dating back to like 3rd edition, all the lore, and like societies and powers and all that stuff, political powers, all that stuff is totally still viable from the 3rd edition books. So those are worth scavenging offline, or grabbing off of DTRPG for stupid cheap. But it has a general like Indiana Jones, like an Indiana Jones sort of vibe, but more of like a steampunk or like a Harry Potter level of like mundane magic performing tasks for characters, but the high level stuff isn't there. So like you can like the world feels like magic is limited to 3rd level, but the action heroes, the epic villains, the superpower characters and NPC villains, they can still ramp up to 9th level. So they're like 9th level heroes inside of a third level magic world. So like if you were to do an E6 campaign, if you know what E6 is, Eberron is like the absolute best campaign setting to run E6 inside of, because it's incredibly low, very broad, deep steeped magic systems, like magic trains that will take you from city or nation to nation. Airship dirigibles. So it has like that 1920s, early 30s vibe, like not quite radio or not quite radio television, radio wave technology yet. Like right before that, like at the edge of where like magic equals electricity. So like they're just getting into that, like what can we actually use magic for to improve our lives overall. Until then, it's more like Harry Potter sort of stuff, but they start to industrialize it. So it's like the industrial evolution of magic, basically. Cool setting. It really throws a lot of the tropes about what monsters are supposed to be on their head. I think this is good disbursement here. I'm going to start putting blood on the floor, because I can feel like I'm going to ramble, and if I do, that means I'm not going to be able to do this technical stuff. I'm going to have to be doing stuff that's fun and like organic, which right now means lots of blood. So we're going to put pools of blood in here, pool of blood back here, a pool of blood here. Let that run through like that. There's some blood over here, blood here. Like there's a druid a druid circle called the Gatekeepers, and it's predominantly orc, and their role in society is to detect extraplanar threats that could destroy reality and basically exterminate whoever's responsible for it, kill them with extreme prejudice. And so you have these brutal orcs. They breed these things called horrid beasts that are like you could take like a wild boar and make its horns, like its tusks, make them drip acid, and then when it dies, make its skeleton keep moving with its flesh suit on it. Like that's the kind of stuff that these druids create to fight extraplanar enemies with, like Witherbloom or like Golgari from Ravnica would actually vibe really, really well with these gatekeeper druids. They're just like, there are no business. We will kill you if we think you're causing trouble. Great characters, great characters. There's one of the nations called Droam is ruled by Medusa currently. And it is an active effort by the intelligent, like monstrous creatures of like CR2 or higher that have intelligence of, 11 or better, getting together, basically saying, hey, all the humans are really weak right now because they've been at war for hundreds of years and they're going through this rebuilding period. This is a really great opportunity for us to really just step up and claim some territory for ourselves and try to prove to these humanoid species that we're intelligent and that we can organize and that we are worthy of equal respect. Otherwise, we're going to unleash gargoyles, ogres, trolls, all sorts of monstrosities to come attack your nation while you're still trying to rebuild from your family quarrels. And we will slaughter you. So we want to see at the bargaining table. And so there's this monstrous nation that's attempting to assert themselves as a political force. It's pretty cool. There's all sorts, like there's another continent named Sarlona that's basically being dominated by a psychic parasite that invades your dreams, and once it takes root in your psyche, it takes over your mind, and you become a thrall of this basically otherworldly patron. Like it's great Warlock content. It's like the Aberration Warlock would be a decent take, or like Great Old One would be a really good angle to go with for this. But you could also have any kind of like the Psyblade, or even like Echo Knights could belong there. it's pretty cool. There's a holy war going on between this church called the and back on the non-psychic infested continent of Corvair, where this war just recently ended, where this is taking place. There's a war going on between the Church of the Silver Flame, which is basically like a paladin holy order that is there to protect reality from psychic invasion. Coincidentally enough, they haven't caught wind, or if they have caught wind of what's going on in Sarlona, they're attempting to accumulate enough finances to go wage a holy war against that entire continent. Boy, what a mouthful to bite off. But they also have a problem at home because like demon possession is like a real thing. Like in 3rd edition, demon possession was so much of a thing that they actually made a template out of it that you could apply to any demon or devil or Yugoloth or other extraplanar creature that you have inside your campaign. You could apply the possessing demon template, and you could basically become a ghost, where you could like invade other people's bodies and then grant them infernal powers while you controlled their body. And you could make this, you could build this out as a template for a character. Like if you wanted to play a tiefling character, you could, with DM's permission, build them into being a possessing soul tiefling, so that you could possess the body of monsters that you ran across and become basically a monster hunter. Fucking awesome. Fucking so this Silver Flames, they would protect people from this, or they would hunt down possessing demons and what's the word? Not exile. Exorcise them from the body, and then destroy them with extreme prejudice from the ethereal plane by plane shifting along with wherever the entity is going, so they could chase it through the planes and slaughter it before it could find a new host to hide inside of. But they also have a big problem because they consider lycanthropes to be possessed by evil spirit, like nature's spirits that are focused on rage, right? Rage and slaughter, like Yinugu, for example, of the Knoll God, would be a great example of what the Silver Flame fears that where creatures would become. And one of the playable races that came from Eberron is the Shifter, which is a humanoid that is like a quarter lycanthrope. And they are on the shit kill list of all Silver Flame. Like, if you're a Silver Flame character, you should be prioritizing killing shifters if you run across them. So a campaign theme can be Silver Flame versus Shifter. Pick a side. And because both are good. Or if you really want to make it spicy, have an adventuring team that exists with both of them and see how fast it takes for your team to devolve into bloodshed. But these are all the things that you can do inside of an Eberron campaign. And they have these guild houses that humanoids are born with tattoos, and those tattoos create magical effects. And there's only there's basically like one type of tattoo per species. Like the gnomes get like this tattoo of creation, so they can build like artifice machinery, right? And so they all bond into this artificer guild where they're building machines with these magic tattoos that are born on them. And they'll all these different guilds will go out looking for people with tattoos on them to then recruit into their guild, so that they can have and they have mercantile power. Like they will cut off their magic supply from a nation if that nation doesn't give them guild rights to be like the distributor of like Lysander. I'm horrible. I never use the guilds, so I'm horrible with all their names. But some people, their entire campaign, all it is like one guild fighting another over territory. So like it's super deep like that too. So I mean, like there's all these different facets of reality that you can play an Eberron campaign as. It's super lush. Well, I fucking love it. Yeah, right on. And so I use color mana in Eberron. Just because color mana is such a better way of explaining color. Like if you run across an ancient eldritch machine and it's belching black and red energy, that might explain why you've seen all these imps in the dungeon facility where you find this machine. Maybe it's a portal that tears open fabric for demons to come through. But if it's steeped in black and red magic, you're going to expect kind of a Rakdos vibe off of it anyway, right? Or like if you run across a druid that all they're weaving is white and green magic, then you're going to get a real hippie Selesnya nature's ally sort of vibe off of that character. As opposed to if they're wielding green and black magic, you're going to get more of like a Spore Druid or Gatekeeper vibe, or like a Defiler would make sense in that in that color scheme as well. So by using colors with creatures, magical traps, magical items, runes, rituals. By using color magic as your default paradigm, your magic paradigm, then you can actually use color as an expression of explaining stuff, and it actually means something to your characters. So, like in my Eberron, the Eberron campaign I'm running right now is a time travel campaign. So it's just steeped in white and blue magic, like fucking everywhere. They've been fucking around with the lithids, so they keep running across blue and black magic off of them. It's a time travel adventure, right? So they keep getting tagged by inevitables. So the inevitables are carrying lots of blue and white on them as well, because they're representative, basically from Mechanus. I use the Great Wheel, even though it's an Eberron campaign. I still like the Great Wheel. I use Planescape and I use Spelljammer in my Eberron campaigns, because my Eberron campaign is a space opera, because the way that I have it built, the one threat the Gatekeepers failed to prevent extraplanar forces from being able to crack open reality and start invading the world. So at some point they had to basically call it, like, we either have to save the planet or we're all dead. So the only solution they could come up with was detonate the core of the planet. That would be a powerful enough explosion to be able to shunt realities apart, so that the demon plague would be cut off and it would just naturally die off over time. Then they could just wait it out. So what that did, when they detonated the core of the planet, it broke up all the continents into separate asteroids. So there's a number of nation asteroids or continent asteroids that float at different levels of elevation in comparison to the core of the planet. Eberron by nature, rules as written Eberron, has an asteroid belt that circles it like a moon, made of crystals. It's called the Tears of Sybaris. They twinkle like it reflects off like water, and a lot of them look like tears. So they call it the Tears of Sybaris. Sybaris was a giant, was a world-sized dragon that was said to be part of the creation process of the world in the first place, and it created the heavens. And so when Sybaris gave its life to create Eberron, it left behind this ring, like a oriental dragon, is a long snake-like sort of creature. So it left this snake-like creature trail of crystals that surrounded the planet, the remnant that Sybaris actually existed at one point. Coincidentally enough, in my Eberron campaign, Sarlona, the nation that has the psychic mind worms, the reason the psychic mind worms can come through into reality is because of that ring of crystals. The psychic entities resonate with the crystal energy that's in that crystal ring. So when the campaign that we're gearing up is an asteroid mining campaign, where they're going to the crystals and breaking them up into chunks so they can sell them as little mana stone, like Mox crystals, sell them as little mana packets. So you can create batteries to drop into magic gear, power it up with mana, and however big the crystal is how much of a mana battery it has. You can see those. You can see that stuff in the core mechanics book they have below in the magic items section, as well as in the Martial Powers playtest under mana batteries. But the team's goal is to go up there and harvest crystals so they can be forged and shaped into mana crystals or Mox crystals that can basically be mana stones. So you can start dropping clips of mana into guns. So you can have like a force bolt weapon, like a really high level one can be like a Magitech cannon. Put in 30 mana worth of crystals, and it has one shot, and those crystals are cash. So you toss them aside, they become radioactive. That sort of thing. Like the Cypher system has disposable magic items. These crystals can store magic items as like a potion. and once the magic gets released, they become toxic, so you have to get rid of them. Or so these demon psychic things that drain through, they take shattered stones and they use them to pervert and warp the people that had access to them. So that's where a lot of my ideas are coming from. But so the campaign that the team is stepping into, they're like, yeah, these crystals, it's a resource we can tap into. There's a use for them now, so the market is open, and they don't realize how intimately the relationship of the Starlona mind spiders are to those crystals. But they're finding out. Like the main tenet is, you've got all of your wealth, your entire investment wrapped up in this thing. Now there's reports of Starlona privateers attacking you when you try to mine these things, and there's all sorts of really weird fucking creatures that are being found in these crystals. So you have to put together, now you need a mercenary team to go in and protect your miners while they're trying to chip off crystals to make sure that creatures don't come and attack you, because they're attracted to the chipping of the crystals. So the more you chip, the more likely you are to attract a creature, whether it's on your asteroid or another one nearby. It'll sense the resonance, it'll feel the shake, so it'll come and it'll pursue that shakiness. So there's a lot of really fun opportunities there for the team to fight at different scales, like with ships to do pirate fighting a lot, or like mega creature combat. And while you're actually inside of a crystal, then that lets us use the mecha. We can use the mecha mechanics that we have, and then it's all built inside of a guild operation shell. So the team gets to use the guild, the in command of armies, guilds, and kingdoms. They get to use the guild mechanics that we have for developing a trade organization that provides resources to the team over time that they can use to broker new deals, research new locations, recruit new mining operations, get access to bigger, better ships, more powerful and advanced mecha, so they can become a larger and larger operations. But these are all mechanics that we have in my Patreon already for people to go look at. It's not in the prettiest format yet because it's still a ramshackle playtest document, but that's the kind of shit that we're putting together. So to get back to the point, in 2025, after I get done with the color mana conversion, that's my new project to make that to build that in command book. And I'm thinking, I'm praying that by 2025 I'll grown enough here as a stream, and I'll have my Discord channel up, and I'll have enough people taking a look at and checking out what we got going on here, that I'll have I'll have a successful Kickstarter that maybe I can generate $10,000 worth of content to make it so I'm getting paid to do the art up front. Like a $10,000 price tag for me to build, like for all the artwork that we've been putting into the Spelljammer book, there's probably about $6,000-$7,000 worth of artwork that we've put into my Spelljammer book so far. That's not even taking the tokens into account. If we add in the tokens, there's 72 tokens. If we're going to charge $30 to create a token, that's $2,100 right there. So my actual price tag plus the time of actual construction and development, that's probably a $10,000 book. But if I had a larger enough following, and it was a couple years later and I created that, then that Spelljammer book might get $10,000 worth of funding first. So I think by 2025, if I say, hey, these are things that I'm building, and here's all this shit on DMsGuild that proves I know what I'm talking about, I think I might be able to succeed in that project. So that's what we got planned for 2025 is the in-command system. And all along that time that we're building those things, we can take like 1 or 2 week projects, like little side hustles, and build like the Book of Dimir or God enchantments for Theros. Because once I have all these mechanics done, I can start building God enchantments. Like how Theros has aura enchantment creatures. Like if you have so much devotion, then the God enchantment becomes a creature. I have mechanics using the color mana system and the Theros piety system that you can combine your piety with your mana pool to summon a god that can fill a 500 or 50 or 500 foot space to act as a massive god. You have all these pictures of these gods that are like a mile tall, 50 foot, 500 foot, 1 mile tall. So if you're a 18th level, 17th level character, and you're summoning, I don't know, Mowgli, then you can summon him with a 9th level spell, like a 1 mile avatar of Mowgli, and it's doing its black and red mana destruction stuff. So maybe your team needs to summon, I don't know, Erebus to try to banish him to the Nether Realm or something like that. So you're gonna have to blow 9th level power to create this avatar body. But this is all stuff that we can do with the scaling mechanics that we have, and the color mechanics that we have, and the piety system that exists inside of Theros already. This is why I'm really excited to integrate Theros into the color mana mechanics that we're going to be updating next year. So get both Theros and Strixhaven in there. And then if Wizards wants to come out with another book, like, I don't know, Ixalan, or I bet they would do Ikoria. Like, I'd love to see Ikoria mixed with Mystara's Hollow Earth setting with dinosaurs. I think that'd be fucking awesome. That, or maybe Ixalan. I guess Ixalan could do it, but I think it would feel better with Ikoria. Because Mutant Monsters in the Bowels of the Earth feels more Ikoria than Ixalan. I don't know. We'll see. But whatever, like if they decide to read Zendikar, for example, I could easily build a color mana book for Zendikar, and I could build a shifting terrain. I'm already building a color mana hexcrawl adventure for. That's what our Martial Powers playtest is going to be. Is a color mana hexcrawl where each piece of land that you move into will have a random color assigned to it, and so depending on what colors your character is devoted to, you're going to have access to, like, you'll be able to sustain powers without having, like, you'll automatically be able to lock thing, like if you're in a swamp tile. It's in Ravnica, so it's a Rubble Belt hexcrawl, right? So you're going through all these wastelands that were destroyed by world worms, and so while your team is traversing, if you travel and explore a black tile and you attune to that swamp area, then, for instance, if you're sustaining a black mana concentration effect, you'll automatically succeed your concentration check while you're attuned to that specific hex. When you move out of that area, you have to attune to the next one, but it might have white mana, and you don't have white mana, so you won't benefit from being in that hex. But maybe you have like an Orzhov character with you that's both black and white, so you guys are specifically going to the white hex because you have an Orzhov paladin with you, so he's going to be able to sustain aura effects for your team while you're inside both that black and that white hex, for instance. So, but if they did a Zendikar book, like, you know, with shifting terrain, I could easily build out a toolkit for that and add Zendikar to our stack of color mana variant rule bundle that we have on the DMsGuild. So all that shit kind of works together. Fun stuff that we can do, my guys. Fun stuff. Hey, friendly. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of ranting. And whenever I don't see well, so I have to lean in like this, which means I stop paying attention to what's going on over there for me to be able to read it. I'm pretty blind, so forgive that. What this is? Sorry, Freddie. What I'm doing right now? This is an Eberron map for an Eberron adventure that we're doing. But right now, I was talking about the different types of projects that I'm working on right now, and one of the projects I'm working on, there's a stack of books that are linked down below, and I've been talking about the color mana spell point variant rules that I'm going to be rebuilding once I'm done with this adventure next year. So this is our Monday-Thursday night project, building this Eberron adventure. On Monday through Friday in the morning, I do Spelljammer art, because I run a Spelljammer campaign. I'm building a Spelljammer supplement to put on the DMsGuild. And when the Spelljammer book is done, this Eberron project moves forward to the Monday through Friday project. And then my Monday and Thursday, the Monday through Friday project, and then my Monday and Thursday nights like this become my mana color update projects. I'm working on a color system for martial characters as well as spellcasters. So I'm just talking about how my priorities are shifting over the years and things I have lined up that's going to be coming down the pipe. So I've been bouncing between conversations about this adventure, my current Eberron campaign, books that I'm producing, and the playtest content I'm planning on running in the new year. So I'm talking about a lot of shit, Friendly. Sorry, I'm really all over the place. It's if you stick around and get into the flow with me, you end up catching up. But I guess that's the trick, retaining your audience enough for you to give a crap, right? That's if once I can figure that out, I'm sure I'll be great. I'm not there yet, obviously. So I've gotten a little bit too scattered with this. I like the general color that we're using here, but I want to get rid of some of this featheriness, like less smokiness, because we're going to put a bunch of crystals and fungus on this stuff once we get done sculpting it. So that feels decent. There's that. But yeah, I was ranting. I run a Spelljammer campaign. I'm a big Eberron enthusiast, but my Eberron campaign is a space opera, where all the different nations and continents of Eberron, like Corvair and Sarlona, and all the nations in Corvair and Arganessen and Zendrick, these are all different, continents or nations. Like Kabara is its own little floating asteroid. And Droam is a massive chunk, like a 300-mile asteroid, and then all of these nations have different ships, Spelljammer ships that they use to move back and forth to war and trade and explore. So, and I also use the Great Wheel cosmology, and I integrate Spelljammer with Planescape. So. I've got my Eberron is not a normal Eberron campaign at all, but I've also been rocking it since 3rd edition, so it's had plenty of time to evolve into strangeness. I was aspiring to making the space opera version of Eberron that I run. I was considering making that a product for DMsGuild, but Keith Baker left Eberron and DMsGuild projects, so I don't know how much interest is going to be for Eberron in the future, if it's worth it for me to do that, or if I should just build like a generic space opera campaign to use all the different variant mechanics that I use to build in something together. I don't know. Stuff that I can do. Super fun stuff that I can do. Being able to creating role-playing books is honestly, it's a really fun hobby. If I can ramp up production to a point where I can quit my day job, I could be doing this, 70 hours a week and still have a social life. Fucking amazing. But we'll see. We'll see what my future holds. If that's my destiny, then I shall embrace and love my good fortune. I do want to leave like scuffy black grit on the floor like that, so I'm happy with that. And we're going to be adding in the crystals soon. This adventure is called Crystals of Mabar. Mabar is the plane of darkness, evil, and things that go bump in the night for Eberron. Kind of like a mix between, I guess, the Abyss and the Shadowfell. It's like a mix between those two things, the plane of Mabar. And so this adventure is about a manifest zone being held open to create a permanent gate between a necromancer's lab in Karnath and the plane of Mabar. So it's held open too long, it starts to pollute the environment, and there's the Mabar is a plane of existence. It has a physicality to it. So, but it's also a plane of undeath and necrotic energy. So its soil isn't going to be normal soil. It's going to be weird. So we developed an ecology of soil, plant lives and wind patterns and how all that stuff works together for Mabar to terraform the environment that it's co-terminating with as the planar energy seeps into the environment. It starts to terraform the dirt and the air and the plants, and it starts to convert it all into this undeath Shadowfell plant life that infects creatures and poisons people. So wherever there's blood and death that is inside of the area of influence, it starts to sprout unnatural extraplanar plant life. And so that stuff in this sealed room, the only way in, because they boarded up the doors and the windows to keep the undead out, but they came in, they ended up breaking down the door here and get in. And so there's been rotten corpses in here that's basically been filling this place up with this extraplanar nastiness. So we get to put in all this like interesting terraform stuff. So right now we had to pile up the furniture to where the villagers tried to protect themselves in their last stands in their corners. And then so we got these piles of blood that are happening where they obviously failed. And then the blood spawns these little dandelions of like these death dandelions called florets of Mabar that sprout and then spread, and wherever they pollinate, they create moss and like mushrooms and all this different sort of undead plant life, and the soil gets converted into this crusty crystal stuff. The crystals grow like crystals do, but they grow from either necrotic energy or blood. So everywhere there's blood, there's going to have all these crystals coating it, and then spaces like this space here, and between these two piles, like there'll be crystals all along the edges of the blood, and then the spaces between the crystals will have the fungus and the moss and the mushrooms. So we get to build little footprint marks for what all that stuff is for us to stipple into this area. So right now, while I'm rambling about campaigns and my plans for future Kickstarter projects and stuff, I'm basically filling in the terrain of where all the blood in this commons area is, which is basically me just mindlessly pushing pixels until the muse that's in my heart says that looks good, and I stop and I transition and I start peppering in the crystals, and then I pepper in the moss and the mushrooms, and then like ribs and skulls and clunky stuff like that. And since these are once this map is done, we'll then go into the forest and we'll start building little forest vignettes, like little forest scenes that you can use as random encounter locations while you're playing the adventure, going from the village to the dungeon. You have to go through 20 miles of forest. And there's all sorts of horrible things that can happen to you in the forest if you let it. So we get to create these little vignettes like the haunted gazebo or like the sinkhole death pit, and a bunch of, or like the tree of woe. There's a bunch of neat little things that we have built out as optional encounters in the adventure that we get to build unique little maps for. So that's what we'll do after we finish bloodying up this village. Actually, when we finish bloodying the village, then we'll go bloody the farmhouses that we made. And after we finish bloodying the farmhouses, then we'll go into the forest. And we'll build all the forest maps. And once those are done, we'll build the optional encounter maps for inside the manifest zone, where the plane has already taken root, and there's undead that are running around, and mercenary groups that are trying to keep things under control, and necromancers that will kill you, and blah 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 blah. There's optional encounters in those regions too. So we'll get to build out, like we have like maybe 5 or 6 like 30 by 30 foot map, like 30 by 30 square maps, or like 15 by 15 maps that might only take like a week for us to finish each. So once we get this done, that'll probably be plenty of map content that we need to finish. That'll take us till the end of the year. And when we do that, then we get to start making the tokens. So it's like Barghests and Shades and Ghouls and Gibbering Mouthers and Arcane Constructs and Skeletons and Wraiths, Bone Knights, Mercenaries, Necromancers. And these are all the things that we'll be doing in the morning, Monday through Friday, making NPC and creature tokens, just like we did like around episode 60 of my Spelljammer art stream that we did in the morning. And then once those are all done, we can release all those as just tokens for people to use, on Roll20 or on their own. This is an undead pack of, it's just an undead token pack of undead and necromancers. Enjoy. So that's something that people can use regardless, but it will be included with this adventure because those are the creature assets that you need to run the game. So it's a huge production, a lot bigger than I first realized when I began the project. But I'm really glad that I decided to do Spelljammer first because we have a 20-page conversion guide for the Light of Xeraxis adventure showing how you can use my Spelljammer mechanics in the Light of Xeraxis adventure. And these are my first adventures that I've ever, this is the first published adventure I've ever created. Like, professional, please buy this thing adventure. And so it's really great to be cutting my teeth on the Light of Xeraxis conversion guide because it's kind of like down low teaching me how to properly frame content for an adventure in a PDF for me to be able to build something that's worth buying. So Spelljammer's teaching me how to build this adventure while I'm still building the art assets for this Eberron adventure. It's actually been a massive blessing, the amount of time everything's taking to build, and how everything's kind of been sequencing together because everything's falling in place one after the other, helping me have the tools that I need to be able to be successful in building these things. And there's another Eberron adventure I already want to do after this one. It's about a temple, a monk temple at the top of a frozen volcano that has a relic that keeps the volcano from awakening. That's stolen by a rival school, a rival tradition of monks. So I'm really looking forward to publishing that, but I don't want to publish that until the Martial Powers book is done, because these I forgot their name offhand, but these monks that steal artifacts also steal techniques from other monk traditions. So using the martial power system that I've been developing, each subclass gets a unique kit of martial powers that they can use with their ki, along with class features, right? So this thieving guild would have the ability would be able to learn other class features from other traditions and convert those features into powers that they can learn like spells, and they could swap in. So they want to steal relics, and they want to infiltrate different monk tradition, like monk schools, so they can learn their techniques and steal them for their own. So in the future, when they commit crimes, they can get other guilds blamed, or they can get other monk traditions blamed for their crimes, because if you're doing shadow monk stuff and you go steal, a relic of Shar from that Shar is a god of darkness in the moon in Forgotten Realms. So if you have this shadow rogue monk discipline using shadow magic to steal that artifact, then they can learn techniques that maybe they can learn cleric spells from Shar, but they can also use the shadow monk techniques to blame the shadow monks for the robbery, which would make perfect sense that they would do that. So that's a really long heist that's going to take years to learn shadow monk techniques and to be able to infiltrate the Shar temples and tie all of it together to steal this relic so they can get access to Shar spells. That's a really long heist, but that's the kind of shit I want to build adventures for. That's a very Phil sort of campaign. So I want to build tools for that, but I want to have all these other things published so that all the infrastructure for these different types of characters are built into the content that I have out there for people to consume. So it's if you like this adventure, here's all the content about the different types of monks that we were using, and here's all the maps for the adventure that we were using, and blah 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 blah. Build out all that crap. Long-term plans. I'm ranting again about my plans, but I do so love my plans. And so far, I've been able to execute all of them. Everything that we're doing have been on my bucket list. So we're slowly but surely kicking our way through the stuff that Phil wants to do, and God's willing, at the end of it, I'll have a bit of an organization that I can start looking at. What's the next bigger, better thing for us to do for the community, and we'll see where that leads us. So, anyway, puddles. Need another puddle here, and that'll be the last one we probably need. I will do spatter plats. We need to do spatter spots everywhere, but we're almost done with like the puddling. Sorry, Freddie. I don't mean to be difficult. Hopefully you're getting the gist of what I'm talking about at this point, though. I'm kind of assuming you know what Dungeons and Dragons is. I mean, I have people that come in here and say, "Hey, what are you working on?" or "What is it that you're doing?" And like they don't even know what a role-playing game is. So I've been ranting basically for an hour now, hour and a half, assuming that the people who are listening know what a role-playing game is and know what Dungeons and Dragons is and know that we're in 5th edition and that I'm building stuff for a specific world inside of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Boy, no wonder I'm not growing faster. I don't think YouTube knows who to serve me up to, because I do a shitload of artwork, but I do it all in context to a role-playing game that I assume my audience knows about. Talk about being in a siloed shelter space. I really need to reconsider assumptions when people are bumping into my stuff. If I can maybe make the narrative a little bit more friendly for people, might have some better success. No, don't want to delete that. We want to add in. Yeah, we're going to add in some footprints now. Where are we at? Are we on my last 20 minutes? Sorry, I got to check my phone to see where we're at in our time. Yeah. We're doing okay. I've got another 15 minutes scheduled, but I can push it a little bit. We'll see where we're at. If I can get the footprints done, then I'll be happy. Zona, thanks for looking out for me, man. It's I need to figure out a better way to stay connected to the conversations over here. Maybe if I tilt my screen. Well, that helps. I haven't tried that before. I'm tilting up I have a 32-inch monitor that I'm literally 9 inches away from. That's how blind I am. So it's difficult for me to look at different points. Like I can't see my toolkit anymore because my text, the chat window here on the left-hand side of the screen, I brought it really close to my face. Here's my monitor's edge, right? You can only see partial of my face because the monitor's in the way. If I pull the monitor out of the way, I'm now close enough to be able to see the tools that I have on the right-hand side of the page, but I can't read the text anymore. So I need to get into a habit. If I move this over too far, it accidentally turns off the off button. So I need to fix that. Hold on while this gets turned back on. There we go. Yeah, that's funny. That goes like that. I just need to rearrange my desk a little bit to make sure that... Yeah, that'll work. Okay, cool. We're trying to figure out better ways. You can see me. I can see you. This is close enough. Yes, this is for a camp. This is an adventure that I'm writing. It'll be published on the DMsGuild when it's done. It's in the Eberron setting. It's in Karnath. There's undead everywhere. It's a delicious nightmare. I ran maybe 16 people through this like 5-6 times, and then farmed it out to 3 other DMs to play it other than me, and everyone reported back that the general themes of it is fun, that it's difficult, and that as DMs there was enough tools provided and narrative in the content of the adventure that they could make up stuff on their own. Like, they could take the ideas and just run with it, which is exactly what you want to be able to do. Like, it feels more like a toolkit than an adventure, but it provides you a line-through narrative that you can run, like, as written. But it also provides a lot of content about how to riff off of it, or to alter it, or how to tear it apart and make it piecemeal for you to use different chunks of it. So it's got a lot of flexibility to it, which makes it easy for like a professional DM, for instance, would be able to use this, and they could use it as a base campaign that they could run over and over and over again with different plots. There's like 6 different plot hooks and different rewards and different patrons that lead you into the adventure. So you could run this dozens of times and have it played differently each time. So it has high retention value for a professional DM that's looking for content they can enjoy running again and again, especially inside of an Eberron campaign. And it's 8th level, so it's great for a one shot or like a short term campaign, like a vignette, like running from like 8th to 10th level. You could run this for like 3 months, like every week. Like you've got 12 weeks worth of content that you could punch through in the set. If you ran every single piece that's inside of this book, you have about 40 hours worth of content that you could play. Or you could shortcut it down to a single one shot, like a 5-hour one shot, by having your team take a plot that allows you like a plot hook and a reward incentive and objective that has you teleporting to basically to the final battle. We know where the cultists are. We know what they're trying to do. We know what they have. We need someone to go in and kill them. Here's your boom tunnel. Dive through, and we'll hit the button. And when you do, we'll pick you up, and you'll get out. And it could be like a 2-hour gun and run. So run and gun. So you can anywhere from 2 hours to 40 hours. That's the amount of content that this thing provides. So it's a cool little. Hopefully, everyone will agree. It's a tool. It's a cool little toolkit, and it's and God's willing, if it's received well, it's the type of format that I want to continue producing for other adventure content in the future. So it's a bit of an experiment for me in particular, as well as like how things are framed and like being able to bounce between different types of encounters, like combat versus exploration versus social options that are threaded throughout the different stages of the campaign, or of the adventure, so you can switch gears between what kind of encounters you want to have. Like, I want the team to be in the cemetery, but they haven't had a chance to take a short rest yet, so I should up the amount of exploration and social stuff that they run into until they have a chance to rest up and get to some of their juice back, and then we can start dropping in combat stuff. Like, those are things that are provided in the adventure content for you to do, if that makes sense. So that's the design. But we wrote this thing. Originally, we were building a how-to kit, like how to build an adventure, build an adventure with multiple threads of storyline that you can have work together to be able to lead into a team, to be able to flip between combat, social, and exploration challenges inside of the same challenge encounter. Like, if you run across a watchtower at the top of a cliff, how are you going to flip that between being a social encounter, a combat encounter, or an exploration encounter, based solely on what the DM is deeming is appropriate for what the team is going to enjoy the most, or can handle appropriately, or is the right amount of pressure for the DM to push them on to the next spot. Like, you have to explain how these things can be done, which means you need scenarios for examples to demonstrate how you would flip between a combat into a social encounter, right? Like, if you aren't specifically spelling these things out, all these hypothetical YouTube channels, it just having like actual practical examples of how you can rebuild encounters that way. That's what led us to building this adventure, because it has all these different flexible flip mechanics in it. It has multiple storylines. It has multiple objectives. It has multiple resources that are provided. It has multiple consequences, and it has multiple ways of getting to different situations, and it has multiple ways to resolve each of those situations. So it's all this Rubik's Cube, but it's organized in a way where, like, this is how you run the adventure. But you have all these different branching paths that you can take with different plots and options and rewards and threats and and sequencing of encounters. Like we offer ways to thread those things together so that you can make it a very flexible toolkit. But all of that is under the premise of, now that you see how this adventure works, let's teach you how to build adventures that way intuitively. So as you're DMing, you can just use these tools reflexively, and behind, like in the back end, is like, oh yeah, I totally converted that combat encounter into a social encounter because I felt that they wouldn't be able to take on that threat if I presented it as a hostile thing. Like, you can then look back at how you're using those tools, and then you can lean into it. It's like, this stuff is working for me, blah, 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 blah. And the next adventure I want to write uses that same method of threading together an adventure. So, might be able to use that for something. Oh, what, this one here? Yeah. Specifically left one as is. If I were to move it, where would you say I would move it to? Currently, I'm pretty happy with where it's at. But you're right. It could be used for something. And if they were desperate and there was enough bodies in here, they probably would. So let's see where that guy's at. Is it this one? No. 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 Is it this one? Yes. Bing. What do you think? Maybe it's not gonna do much good for us here. I could push it up against the hay bales here against the window. That's a thing, right? Where do you think that should go, man? Maybe up here to help reinforce the door to no avail. Here, maybe? I could stack it up here, or we could dump it into a pile over here, or... I think this makes the most sense here, don't you think? If you have a suggestion, I'm open to it. Leave it as the one point where the last man standing. Leave it as the point where the last man was. Oh, I see what you're saying. There. I love all these doors open outward, but they're trying to pile up trash in front of the doors so they can't come through, like hoping that the undead aren't smart enough to just open the door and they'll have to bash it down. Ultimately, that proves true. They just had to bash down the door and then they can just crawl over the stuff as you would expect a zombie to do. I just think it's funny that they're piling up all this stuff, but all the doors open outward. I just like this door opens inward, right? So like moving a bed or furniture and stuff in the way here, if they were aware, I mean, they're going to get caught. They get caught out and attacked, and it's over very quickly back here. But I just think that's funny. So it's actually very funny. I'm happy with this. So we're going to leave that like that is, and we're going to jump in here, and we're going to grab a color here, and we're going to start putting in some crystals. I like how this is looking, by the way. I'm very, very happy with how this is turning out. Commons. Grab our crystal brush. Here's what this brush looks like. It's actually a this was actually a photograph of a here, I'll show you. What is it? Geometric cauliflower. If you've never seen this before, get ready to have your mind fucking blown. This is cauliflower. This is natural cauliflower. It tastes just like cauliflower. When I say cauliflower, this is one of the breeds of cauliflower that exists. It's a fractal. If you don't know what fractals are, they're geometric equations that taper off to infinitely small spaces. With this cauliflower, as it grows, it spawns off new flowers that spawn off new flowers that spawn off new flowers that spawn off new flowers. I took a chunk of this image and I polarized it so it was black and white only. And then I ramped up the gain on the overexposure so it became washed out black and white. And then I inverted it. And when I inverted it, it made this shape. It's not actually that shape. Hold on. It's actually this shape, a little rounder than that, but you can see how the little isometric points are existing all inside of that piece. This is just like a super overexposed, polarized, and then I inverted it and deleted out all the negative space and just left this chunk left. Since it's a naturally occurring fractal in nature, and we're dealing with crystals like growing crystals, I felt this would be the best way to represent what those crystals are. So that's where that came from. But yeah, that cauliflower, man, that's amazing. This shit is just fucking off the hook. I love it. God, that's amazing. All right, let's bloody the hell out of this place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take crystals as an eraser as well, but I'm going to use only a 20%. So I can tap at these hard edges here and drain away that flat line so only the curved space remains. That'll help us build these little crystal colonies a little. I'm going to actually bump that up to 40. Make these little crystal colonies start to pop out a little bit easier by fading them into the terrain like this. It makes it look like they're like kind of growing out of it to a certain degree. I love doing this type of little intricate texturing work. If where I am now is where I was 20 years ago, I'd probably be doing textures and stuff for like, I don't know, Diablo 2 probably. That'd be about the time frame. I love building little environments like this. It's so fucking fun. You just have to get really good with textures and recognizing what different tools, brushes, like what different, how you can use different brushes for different reasons. So, and that's just a matter of accumulating enough experience to kind of get an idea of how these things work and how you can manipulate them to produce the effects that you want. Like I say often, like there's no I'll provide when I get to 500 subscribers. I'm going to provide all these brushes on my Patreon. So like if there's any artists out there that are interested in my work and like how I do stuff, then you'll be able to grab my brushes at no cost. Just subscribe and wait. But I always say it's not the brushes. It's the artist. The artist should build their own brushes. You can use mine if you want to, but you'll never master them because the brushes that I created are designed to work with my style of art. Like they're as much of an expression of my art as as like my scattering of stippling, right? Or the way that I smudge, or the way that I make a character smirk when they're looking at the camera. Like, those are all styles that I have, and the brushes that you create are just as much an indication of your style as like the way that you choose to, like, you know, the way that you've developed making cleft chins, for instance. That's also a representation of your style. But you have to kind of understand what, you know, why do you need a tool? What is this tool doing for me? Why did I need to build that? And if you don't know the origins of the tool, you don't really understand. Like, you can look at it, it's like, oh, I can do this cool thing like this and that with that. And absolutely you can. I'm not trying to shit on anybody that's their approach when they grab new tools. My argument only is that the person that builds that tool, if it's a tool they actually use for themselves, it's built to serve a very specific purpose. And from that, then it's like, oh yeah, I can use this tool for this and that too. But it's understanding the origin and the purpose for the initial, like why the tool was initially built, is goes a long way into improving your skill set as an artist as to why you would build your own tools, why you would build your own brushes, and why the brushes you build might not be relevant to other people. But fuck, I'm loving this texture effect. This is so good. Just absolutely in love with this. And I'm going to leave that gap there specifically so I can drop simple peanut in there. The iridescent moss that's going to grow throughout this region. I just want to have all this smoky area that we left smudgy. I want to leave that. I want to leave that as a breeding spot for these crystals, and then as we go, obviously, if we go deeper in, we can erode them a bit. Like that. See how these shapes just kind of fit together? I was able to miraculously stumble into a shape that would allow me to stack things together in a kind of like how you can fit hexes together on a hexagon map, right? This sort of has that same jive to it, that I can thread these things together pretty organically, and it has a pretty good feel to it. Like, it keeps things from feeling up or down. It's also really great for framing objects, like to show how the crystals are growing around an object. All that shit's pretty good in here. There. Just fucking love this stuff, man. All right, I gotta go here in a minute. I'm just about hit deadline for my evening. I gotta go to bed because I gotta get up early in the morning and do some more Spelljammer art. So I'm gonna hit the stop button here. As soon as the muse lets me go, I will hit the brakes. So this is probably a good time for me to start saying thank you, folks, for showing up. I really appreciate you guys listening to me rant. I'm excited about where all this stuff is going, and the only way I can really express it sometimes is just by carrying on about it. So thanks a lot for anybody that catches up in that energy and is excited to see what's coming down the pipe with me. I'm here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday in early morning for my early morning coffee art stream, doing Spelljammer, D&D artwork. Mondays and Thursdays we're here in Eberron making these maps and creature tokens that would cause this mess. Tuesdays, including tomorrow, we'll be working on the martial powers system. I have new technology to share about for the barbarian, the monk, the paladin, and the ranger. And if we have time, we'll continue creating alternate subclass mechanics using the power system specifically. I'll probably be back on Wednesday, possibly Wednesday and Thursday lunchtime. Holy crap! I think my Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday lunches are open this week. That is so rare. So I'll be doing some more Eldraine monster conversion into color mana. I'll be doing probably a double dose of martial powers this week again. And I don't know what I'm going to do with my other day, but I'll do something. Maybe it'll be something completely different. Or maybe it'll just be a bonus episode of something like this. But that's a good place for me to end. I'm really loving how this stuff is turning out. This is super fun. I'm looking forward to diving back into this with you guys. So that's it for now. I'm done for reels. I'm going to sign out. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. Anyone that's checking this out in the future, if you think this stuff is cool, hey, Shiner. If anyone thinks this stuff is cool, please subscribe, like, share, comment, kick it. I'm out of here. See you guys on the other side.